The Prime Minister's message during a visit to the Port of Vancouver. Canada must sell more to the world.
More than $1 billion of goods move through this port every single day.
Canada's gateway to trading with Asia in focus during a push to diversify.
Within the next decade, it's not going to be enough. And it's certainly not going to be enough if we're going to grow this economy, become stronger, more independent, more diversified.
On the same day, Ottawa and Ontario's government announced $5 million to help companies find new markets.
We lean in.
And the federal government announced a new office.
Today, we are launching Canada's first ever strategic exports office, working side by side to help our best companies win the biggest contracts in the toughest markets around the world.
Canada is making one move that could slowly break America's biggest advantage. Instead of depending on the U.S., Canada is opening new doors across the world, giving its businesses more buyers and more power. If this plan keeps working, the U.S. could lose the influence it has relied on for years. Canada just built a government-level dealmaker whose entire purpose is to sell Canadian goods to the rest of the world instead of the United States. In 2026, International Trade Minister Maninder Sidhu launched the Strategic Exports Office with an explicit national goal: doubling Canada's exports to markets beyond the United States by 2035. The country that sends 70% of its exports south is now building the machinery to point them at Asia and Europe, and Washington's leverage shrinks with every deal. The office is designed to function as a coordinated commercial weapon. Think of the Strategic Export Office as your government-level dealmaker, Sidhu said. It brings strategic advocacy, government financing, and diplomatic support together in one place. Established within Global Affairs Canada and led in close collaboration with Export Development Canada, the Strategic Exports Office is built to strengthen Canada's ability to secure international business and coordinate senior-level commercial engagement in strategic sectors, aerospace and defense, infrastructure, and energy. It brings together Canada's diplomatic, commercial, and financial expertise in a single body to remove trade barriers and open doors for Canadian companies worldwide. The problem the office is designed to solve is documented and specific. Sidhu said boards of trade and commerce organizations across the country told him Canada was losing business because it was not as coordinated as its competitors. They would get to the finish line. Another state leader would swoop in. A trade minister would swoop and make a call. And billions of dollars of deals would be lost, he said. Better coordination is what's required. That is the gap the Strategic Exports Office fills, matching the aggressive, government-backed deal-making that competitor nations deploy, so Canadian companies stop losing contracts at the final stage to rivals with more coordinated state support. The explicit target attached to the office reframes it as more than an administrative body. Establishing the office and its advisory council reflects Canada's commitment to trade diversification and supports the goal of doubling exports to markets beyond the United States by 2035. That is a concrete, decade-long national objective, not a vague aspiration. Doubling non-U.S. exports within roughly 9 years would fundamentally alter the structure of Canada's trade, reducing the share of the economy exposed to American policy decisions, and building durable commercial relationships across Asia, Europe, and other regions. And if you want the real story behind how Canada is still holding its ground through tariffs, wars, and hard times, hit join below to join the membership for exclusive documentaries you won't see anywhere else about Canada's progress and rise through uncertainty. The results the office is meant to accelerate are already accumulating. Under Carney's leadership, Canada has secured more than $28 billion in international sales and signed more than 20 strategic trade and defense agreements around the world over the past year. Sidhu pointed to specific deals that came together through coordinated efforts between companies and Global Affairs Canada, sometimes with a direct assist from Prime Minister Carney CAE's sale of flight simulators to Malaysia Airlines Group, and Airbus Canada's deal to supply 150 A220 jets to Malaysia's AirAsia. It was a collective team effort that brought this deal over the line, Sidhu said of the Airbus Canada agreement. Those are exactly the large, competitive Asia market contracts the office is designed to win more of. The private sector is being brought directly into the strategy through a new advisory council. Alongside the office, CIDU launched the Strategic Exports Advisory Council, a forum for strategic dialogue between the government and private sector leaders on trade diversification. Its members include the heads of Open Text, the Canadian Chamber of Commerce, and Bombardier, and the council represents hundreds of thousands of jobs across Canada. The council advises the minister on opportunities and challenges in trade diversification and provides real-time feedback on how to best support Canadian exporters. Embedding major Canadian employers in the diversification strategy connects government deal-making directly to the companies that will execute the exports. The recent diversification momentum gives the office an immediate foundation to build on. Ottawa signed a free trade deal with Ecuador the previous Friday. The same day, Canada and the United Arab Emirates announced they had concluded negotiations on a comprehensive economic partnership agreement. The UAE pledged approximately $70 billion in investment in Canada. Those two agreements, concluded on a single day, are the kind of deals the Strategic Exports Office is designed to generate systematically rather than opportunistically, turning individual diplomatic successes into a repeatable, coordinated process. The Asia focus reflects where the demand growth is. Officials say growing demand in Asia and Europe offers new opportunities for Canadian products and services across manufacturing, agriculture, clean technology, and natural resources. Canada's new Pacific infrastructure, the Trans Mountain expansion moving crude to Asian buyers, LNG Canada exporting to Japan and South Korea, the Kaysai Lissams LNG deal with Germany, and the $10 billion Roberts Bank Terminal 2 expansion provides the physical export capacity that a diversification strategy requires. Carney has spoken of re-engaging with the global giants India and China. The office coordinates the commercial deal-making that fills that new infrastructure with contracts. The strategy connects directly to Carney's framing of Canada as a reliable trading nation. Canada must become a more dependable trading partner by expanding relationships with countries around the world rather than relying so heavily on a single market. That reliability principle is the same one Carney articulated in Red Deer when he declined to weaponize Canadian energy, the value of being a trusted, consistent supplier. The Strategic Exports Office operationalizes that principle, marketing Canada's reliability to buyers across Asia and Europe who are themselves seeking dependable suppliers amid global trade uncertainty. The framing that Canada is abandoning the U.S. market entirely overstates the strategy, and officials have been careful on this point. Canadian officials argue that diversifying exports is not about abandoning the United States, but about giving companies greater stability and reducing the risks of depending on one customer. The United States will remain an important trading partner. The integration is too deep and too valuable to sever. What is changing is the concentration. A country that sends 70% of its exports to one market is structurally vulnerable to that market's political decisions. Reducing that share to a more balanced distribution is the actual objective, and it protects Canada whether or not the current trade dispute resolves. The opposition has questioned whether the office will deliver measurable results. Conservative MP and international trade critic Stephanie Cusey noted that the Liberals have had more than a decade to coordinate on international trade, arguing that now their answer is another government office with no clear targets, timeline, or measurable results. The Globe and Mail characterized the results on trade diversification after 1 year under Carney as mixed. That critique reflects a genuine question whether a new government office can accelerate diversification faster than the underlying commercial relationships would develop on their own, and whether the 2035 doubling target is achievable given the scale of Canada's existing U.S. dependence.